Andrew,
Docs, how are you doing, man?
I'm okay. I'm all right.
Okay. You
Seems, yeah,
you
interesting. How about yourself?
good. You seem amped up.
Yeah, I feel like we've actually gotten some Republicans amped up
So let me say this. Ju
yesterday and today.
I think justified. Like
Yeah,
if you're a Republican that's happily voting for Trump and you listen to us talk, it's not what you want to hear.
yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely,
so
absolutely.
I appreciate them listening, and man, from the very beginning, I have wanted to get Republicans on here. Like I have begged a lot of people to come on and like be the Republican voice, and nobody's willing to do it. And I think that we're just going to be I want to say a slightly left leaning podcast, but I have a feeling you're pulling me further left. So I think that's just where we're at now. But I think
Well, we started off yesterday. Um, I was talking to my dad, and I called him just to see how he was doing because I last time we talked, there was a little heated conversation about
why do you
politics.
why do you call your dad and talk politics? That seems like something you
Well, I
should
didn't
avoid.
know, and I
Okay.
I called him and I said, "Hey, Dad, how you doing?" And he went, "Are you still voting for Harris?" And he went blah 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 blah, and he started going off
Yeah.
on Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, and like we started getting into it, and you know, 20 minutes into it, you texted me, "Hey, you want to get on?" I was like, "Yes, let's try and get a phone conversation on this real quick, just to make sure it works." Like I want to be
Yeah.
able to get just randomly call people on this show. Um, Anyway, you got a little taste of what my dad was
God.
spewing.
I'm apologizing to your dad right now through text. Like he's ripping my ass, and he should. Like I'm at fault here. Greg, if
Well,
you watch, I don't think
well,
Greg's
he
watching
hung up
anymore.
on us. He hung up on us. And
So
to be fair, we called him back and we left it on voicemail. And it was my fault. I left the phone open and we were
well,
talking shit about my
let
dad for like 10 minutes before I realized
let let
we
let's
were
back
leaving a
up.
voicemail.
Back up real quick. So I've had this thing happen over the last couple of years where like I have I'm going to say my aunt is a very very much a Trump supporter, and I'll be at my mom's house and she'll be like, "Here, talk to your aunt. She wants to talk politics with you." And I'll get on the phone and I'll counter the first thing she says. She'll say something and then I'll throw away, but what, this or that. I'll give her some pushback. And she's always shocked. Like you can tell that she hasn't experienced this pushback. Everybody she's talking to on a daily basis is agreeing with her. And like it happens so many times, but immediately she'd be like, "Oh, I have to go by," and like just hang up. And I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like we were talking and like we got one point out and you hung up on me. And that happens to me with people. And last night, talking to your dad says, I'm voting for Trump because of his policies, something along those lines. And I said, "What policies? Like, tell me the policies of Trump's that you love." And he jumped straight into promises made, promises kept. Like that was, and I said, "What promises? List the promises that he kept." And he hung up, or maybe he got cut off. I don't know, but it seemed like he hung up. And I was like, "No, like you got to talk to me about this." So we called him back, and it went straight to voicemail. And I was a little amped up, and I'm sorry, this was not this. I shouldn't have said this, but I think I said that motherfucker hung up on us. I think I said that twice. So
Yeah.
tonight I get a text message from a number I don't know that says the website is like Trump Archives list of accomplishments.
Oh
And
yeah, let's go through that.
hold on, well, real quick. I didn't know who sent it at first, so I thought it was like I'm not clicking on that link. I don't know who this is. And then the next message says, "I don't appreciate you calling me an MFer twice on my voicemail." And I was like, "Oh, he heard that." Like that's, and I've apologized a couple times. I don't think he's accepted my apology, and I'll have to stop by his place and
Well,
see.
he is a Christian. He should accept your apology.
Oh, his last thing he said we should read all the accomplishments. So
Okay.
you
Oh,
if you
yeah.
have them, I'm not
Well,
clicking
hold
on the
on.
link.
Yeah, I'll click on it. Before we do that, our next Republican fiasco. I'm not sure. It was one of our buddies, and I'm not sure if you started or he
Now,
started it, but
let me say
I
this real
got mixed
quick.
into this text thread.
Let me say this real quick. One of my very best buddies, I love this guy, like has been there for
Yeah.
me for my whole life, has been there for me recently for important stuff, a best friend, if you will. And we don't talk politics, and it's good that we don't talk politics. But I got a random message today. I think he found our podcast. I didn't send it to him because I knew he wouldn't enjoy it. But he found it, he watched it. I got several texts in a row to both of us. We were on a thread, And he was amped up and he doesn't appreciate what we say on this. And again, if you have his viewpoint, I don't blame him. It probably isn't. That's why I wish we had a Republican that could come on. But anyhow, go on.
I wish he would come on. But the problem is I think like these Republicans, they don't have their talking points are garbage. Like they don't have receipts to back up their talking points.
I'm not speaking about either of the two gentlemen we just talked about, but in general, they don't experience pushback very often. So when they get pushback, they're I don't know. I'm not going to say they're not prepared for it, but when they get pushback, it seems to be a surprise. Like they
Well,
weren't aware that
I'll
there was
talk
a
about
counter.
all of them. And yes, like they don't get that pushback, but they also don't have talking points to to back up their pushback. Like
Yeah, I think
there's no back and forth. They say something and then they say, I want to end this conversation. They'll like chirp their little thing out and then I'm done talking politics. And it's like, no, 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 I'm gonna rebuttal. If you want to end it, I want to be the last person to say something.
I'm more than
This
happy to
is
let it end. As soon as they say we're done, I'm like, awesome, cool, we're done. You're like, I'm sending two more at least to make sure I cover everything. Not necessary. You pushing it on.
yeah. But it's like, no, you're an idiot, and Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are having an affair together. I don't want to have to talk politics anymore together. We should just stop talking this right now.
Yeah.
Done. And it's like, no, hold on. Where do you
Well,
get your information from? And can you cite some sources? Nope.
I think the thing is, for me at least, like I was in a Republican state in Texas. I'm in an even more red state now in Oklahoma. So anywhere I go and talk politics, I hear that the Democrats are bad and Trump is awesome all day long. So I'm
Yeah.
ready for anything I'm going to hear. I've heard it all week long. Like, and I watch a lot of Fox. So if you're whatever you're coming at me with, I've already heard it and I've thought about it and I probably am already prepared to come back with something. And
Right.
I think that both sides, and we don't know. I know one far left person, and he's on the screen with me right now. But I'll bet the far left is just as bad. I'll bet it's like you remember the videos of the people like screaming when Trump got elected, like on the streets, like crying, like they
The
couldn't
pussy
handle it.
hat thing?
Yeah, that whole era. Like so, the
Okay.
far left is as bad as the right. But that's again where I always come back to like
Sure.
these conversations should be had, but I don't think like people all the time wonder are we more divided now than we've ever been? Like, is this a special time? And I don't think it is. Like when I was younger, my grandmother, my Nana, who and you were around Nana back in the day, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Bleeding heart liberal. She would come to town, and at some point, her and my dad would talk politics. So it was normally on the second or third night. And my dad's a Republican, and it would end with her bags packed, standing at the door, saying, "Take me to the airport right now. I'm not spending another moment in this house with this asshole." And it was terrible. Like they couldn't talk politics without it getting out of hand. So I don't. I wonder, is it worse now, or like when we were younger, we didn't get into this, but now we're in our 40s, and it's like the progression of we're going to start talking politics and it's going to be heated. Is that you think that's the case?
I don't know. And did
Is
we
it
just
worse?
lose people in our lives because of politics?
Honestly, I'm not going to lose anybody in my life. I know people that are like flat out writing people off, but I'm not there.
Yeah.
Like even
Yeah.
if someone's
No, but
mad at me,
it's the right who's going to write you off for being so left, Andy.
disagree. I disagree strongly. I think there's a lot of people that are like, I'm not talking to him ever again. He's a Trump supporter. Like, I think that's that.
Mm.
I think maybe we're done with that now, but for 4 years, from 16 to 20 at least, like that was happening left and right. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't
both
think
sides
that
are
that is
intolerant.
the way to think about it, right? I'm not I'm not going to throw somebody out of my life just because they're uneducated on topics. Like,
I think you're almost you'll piss them off to the point that they throw you out of their life. Like
yeah,
that's
that's
your
what I
move.
was. I guess that's where I
Yeah,
was going with that.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. And
people are
you
just going to abandon me because I'm like, no, you're wrong.
well, and like I think some people see that coming and they decide to steer away and say, "Hey, let's just not talk politics anymore. Like this isn't productive and it's not good." And like you see it and you're like, "Oh, I want to drive the knife in as far as I can." Like there's something weird with
I,
your personality.
well, yeah, I feel like if you're wrong about something, but you're so adamant about getting your wrong point across, like it's my job to drive it home and try and make you think that make you understand things in my way. And I know I'm completely wrong and I'm an asshole and like
I'm glad to hear that.
but I have,
Yeah.
yeah, if you're wrong about something, but you're being an asshole about it, I'm gonna drive it home. And yeah.
See, where I would differ from you is I would say I don't think that there's a right or wrong. Like, I think there's two different ways. In a lot of cases, both sides want what's right for America. They just have different ways to get there. Okay. I don't think any side's approaching it from a side of evil. Okay. And nobody's trying to, as much as I hear on Fox News, the liberals are trying to destroy America. No, I don't think they hate America. And people that think that Trump's trying to destroy America, no, I think Trump's got other issues, but I don't think he's trying to destroy America or anything like that, or end democracy is when you hear all the time. I think he's
Uh,
just trying to.
you
I
don't
think
think he's trying to end democracy at all?
I don't. I think that he very much looks up to autocrats. Like there's a part of him that just naturally
Dictators.
is like, oh, wouldn't it be awesome to have that much power? But I think,
He loves Putin. He loves Kim Jong Un. He loves the Chinese
Xi,
dictator. Like
yeah,
he really wants that much power, I think. And I think he will do what he can to get it if he.
it's tempting. Well, okay, so we got a list of his accomplishments. Let's hear it
Oh
out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All
come
right.
on.
List of accomplishments. And my father, Mr.
Who is a great man, might I add?
Yeah,
I
he's just doesn't understand what's going on in the world, and he just listens to Fox News.
or he just sees it a different way than you. I
And
mean,
it's interesting. You know, one of the points he brought up today, I talked to him for like an hour and a half, and I was just like, the first thing I was like, "You were amped up last night." He was like, "Ah, sorry, I was talking to my buddy who's an ex FBI agent, and he says the FBI is corrupt." And I was just like, "Well, how did he say the FBI is corrupt?" And he was like, "He didn't go into details." And I was like, "Okay,
I would ask that question. If somebody said I used to work for the FBI and they're corrupt, I would have so many questions.
yeah, absolutely,
How do you not ask a follow up there?
thousands of questions,
Okay,
right?"
yeah.
Anyway, so he sent us this thing, Trump administration accomplishments. This is as of September 2018. So
The
before
first
the
two, so
pandemic.
so in fairness to him, the first 2 years he had a Republican Congress and a Republican Senate, so he should have been able to get a lot of stuff through. Now
Right.
18 to 20, Nancy Pelosi took over, and at that point, yeah, not he's not going to get his agenda through, which is generally how it is for any president. Their first 2 years, they got to make it count because after that, they're most likely going to lose the House. Anyhow, go on.
Right. That's where Obama got his healthcare reform.
Well, and that's when they had a super majority, so they rammed it through. But anyhow, go on.
Yeah. All right. So number one, almost 4 million jobs created since election.
Okay. He
Number
he
two.
the first 3 years of the economy, he had it humming along. Now he took over an economy that was doing well, but he kept it doing well for 3 years. So
Right.
good
Obama's
job.
economy was great, right? And
Yeah,
he
you wouldn't say it was great, but it was healthy. It was growing at a good steady pace. Trump came in, and his big thing was that, like, oh, the GDP could be much higher. Like, let's put that pedal to the metal. Let's cut rates. Let's give tax cuts. Let's juice the economy. And the way I
yeah,
always
but
look
when
at
you
it,
juice, you crash.
eh,
That's the thing.
you
Like
can
juicing is crashing.
people make the argument that juicing leads to a bubble, and a bubble eventually bursts. But
Always.
here's my thing: is you want to leave some of those tools in your pocket for, like, if there starts to be a hint of a recession, now you can cut rates or you can do certain things. Trump did it
Yeah.
all while the economy was moving pretty good, to where when we started to look at like we were coming to a recession, we had to raise rates to get out of the recession. So,
Right.
but yeah, he took over a good economy and he kept it going good. He juiced it. I
So
would have
he
liked
used an. So would you say that he used a Republican economic plan that doesn't actually work?
it worked
They
for it
seem to
worked
do that.
it worked for certain people. It depends on what tax bracket you're in.
Using the economy works for some people.
I'm saying it worked for, if you were in the upper tax bracket, the economy was
Oh,
fantastic for you. Yeah.
okay.
So I don't know.
All right.
What I will say is, and this is what bothers me, at that point when you have a good economy, as opposed to giving tax cuts and trying to juice the economy, let's work on paying down the debt or balance the budget or something like that. That's both sides suck at that. So I'm not. Well,
Yeah.
I don't have a home there.
Except for Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was the only one that had a balanced
OG.
budget.
Yep.
All right. Number two, more Americans are now employed than ever recorded before in our history.
He had unemployment at like 3.1 or something. I can't remember.
He had it at 3.4, and I think Biden has it at like 3.2.
Yeah, which, this is what's weird, is the economists say that that's not good. We want it to be 4 to 5% or so. I don't know.
No.
there's a thing where it can get unemployment can get too low, and that's a problem. So I
How
don't
is
know.
that a problem?
I'm the last guy that should talk about that. I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious. We have created more than 400,000 manufacturing jobs since my election. I feel like that's a lie.
So we ended up overall we lost manufacturing jobs under Trump,
Yeah.
and then Biden has brought back manufacturing. Now there were certain things like I don't know the whole story, but like Foxconn in Wisconsin, where
Yeah.
Trump announced it, he went to a groundbreaking. He was touting those jobs forever. That never happened. So
Yeah.
I'd have to look into it. I
Well,
know
and then
that
now
one,
recently Biden sold that piece of property to
some other company that's gonna,
Microsoft.
yeah.
Microsoft, and they're gonna do a chips plant
Yeah.
or something.
Here's the thing: manufacturing jobs are definitely coming back to America under Biden, but I haven't seen a breakdown between because you can say that we lost manufacturing jobs under Trump, but how much of that was during COVID in the last year? I don't know the answer to
Yeah,
that. So
that could make
yeah,
sense. Yeah, yeah. And this was from 2018, September
yeah.
2018. All right. Manufacturing jobs growing at the fastest rate in more than 3 decades. Economic growth last quarter hit 4.2%.
4.2
So
is an awesome GDP, but
yeah,
again, that's kind of juicing the economy. The way one economist, and I've struggled with my weight my whole life. When one economist said it's like losing weight, like slow and steady wins the race. Like people that
yeah,
lose it real quick will have that bounce back and gain it back. And with the economy, you want it to be growing at a steady pace, like
yeah.
2.5 to 3, I don't know,
Is
somewhere in that range.
isn't like, yeah, 1.5 to 2.5 is kind of the range you want to be in an
I
economy
I should have looked this up.
growth.
I didn't know we were going to talk about GDP growth. But
Yeah, me
yeah,
either.
I know that if it starts to get too hot, that's where people start to fear the bubble. And I remember in 2018, we were looking at moving, and I was scared to buy a house because I kept hearing people talk about a bubble. So
Well, if anybody listening has any input on what a solid economic growth rate is, please chime in
yeah,
on our
please comment, and we'll have you on the
comment,
show next time.
comment,
So
subscribe,
yeah,
like, all that good stuff.
we'll have if you know about it and want to come tell us about it, we'd love to have you on the show. Anyhow,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, open invitation to
New
whoever.
unemployment. All right, so the next one is new unemployment claims recently hit a 49-year low.
Again, unemployment was good under Trump, so
Yeah.
it's also good under Biden. It's
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, and most of this stuff seems like it could have been a Obama era a trickle down Obama.
yeah. Again, the Republican point is that the economy was not growing fast enough under Obama, and that's what Trump came in and Trump said, "Hey, watch, I'm going to get this economy growing at 4%," and then he
Yeah.
did certain quarters. I don't know what his annual GDP was, but I know there were certain really hot quarters.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever thrown gasoline on a fire?
I
It goes whoosh, and then it goes back
I,
down.
I don't know if there like the housing market was definitely headed for a bubble in 2018. There's no, I don't know if it's 2018, 2019, somewhere in that range, but the housing market was getting ridiculous. Certain areas of the economy were getting out of control. You can't, because of COVID, you can't say that, oh, well, it would have gone south with Trump. No, you can't. He has that benefit of the doubt because COVID happened. So we'll never know what would have happened to Trump's economy had COVID not happened. It could have been, it could say COVID doesn't hit, you could say that he cruises right along and has a great economy all the way through 2024. You never know.
Yeah,
It,
but
it could have happened.
then he's going to get elected again, right? If COVID never hit because he failed with COVID
I,
so bad
that's what I'm
that
saying.
he would have gotten reelected, and then do you think he would have had a steady economy for the next 4 years after that?
We'll never know. COVID
Yeah,
happened. Yeah, we'll never know.
I could speculate. We could all speculate.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying it's he gets the benefit on that because until COVID, he had a good economy. Once COVID hit, everything went south. So
Okay.
yeah.
Next one, median household income has hit highest levels ever recorded.
Well, and I think with barring a recession, that continues to go up as cost of living, wages go up, cost of living goes up. So 5 years from now, the median household income should be higher than it is today in a healthy economy.
Yeah.
So that's just going to
Yeah,
keep
it
going
went
up.
up from the 1950s to the 1960s to the
Yeah,
1970s, 80s, 90s, keep going.
I'm going to pull this number out
African
of my.
American.
I'm going to pull this out of my butt, but like, back in the 1950s, like if you made $200 a week, you were wealthy and you could buy a house for
Yeah.
$20,000. And, so that's just, yeah. Anyhow.
Yeah. All right. African American unemployment has recently achieved the lowest rate ever recorded.
He talks about that all the
It's,
time. Lowest black unemployment. Now with Biden beat that and got it down a couple
oh,
tenths of a point below where Trump had it. either way, when the economy is good and unemployment's low, if all unemployment's low, then black unemployment and Latino unemployment and all that's going to be low with it
Yeah,
generally.
but
So
Biden still wins. All right. His Hispanic American unemployment is at the lowest rate ever recorded. Asian American unemployment recently achieved the lowest rate ever recorded. Women's unemployment recently
so
reached the lowest rate ever recorded in 60 or lowest rate in 65 years, which is probably ever.
probably when women
Youth
started
unemployment
working.
recently hit the lowest rate. Oh, I want to talk about this. Youth unemployment has reached the lowest rate in nearly half a century. Is that what they're trying to do in Arkansas, where they're trying to get 13-year-olds to work in the factories again?
That wasn't happening during Trump. That was after
Oh
Trump
yeah,
when Sarah
that's
Huckabee
recent.
Sanders became the governor. And I would love for someone to explain that one to me because like they were very happy when she passed that bill and they had like kids that were like 11 behind her in like suits and ties that were like, yay, we get to work now. I don't, there might be a very good reason for that. Nobody's told me yet, so I haven't heard it.
Yeah, it sounds horrible.
Yeah.
All right. Lowest unemployment rate ever for Americans without a high school diploma. Undermined administration veterans unemployment recently reached its lowest rate in 20 years.
So all
Almost
the
39.
unemployment was low. You can skip all the
Yeah,
different groups.
all this is
Unemployment was
all
low. Yeah.
unemployment. Yeah. Almost 39 million Americans have been lifted off food stamps since the election.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. And going back to unemployment, I mean, like you said, when unemployment is low, all unemployment is low. So he's just
Yeah.
going through everybody. And it's probably a trickle down from the Biden administration, or Obama
Again,
administration.
he took over a good economy and he didn't wreck it. So he gets
Yeah.
credit for not wrecking it. But I mean, we talked about this a couple episodes ago, but like when Obama came in, he had to come in on the heels of the '08, economic collapse, the Great Recession, whatever you want to call
Right.
it, and rebuild that economy. When Biden came in, he had to come in on the tail end of COVID and rebuild that economy. If you're a president, sometimes you get lucky and you come in on a good economy and you got to just make sure it stays good. And that's
Right.
you can't hate on Trump for that because all he had to do was keep it running good and he kept it running good. So what did you
Okay.
want him to do?
Well, not flame it, but anyway.
Yeah.
The pledge of America's workers has resulted in employers committing to train more than 4 million Americans. We are committed to vocational education. I don't know what that means. 95% of US manufacturers are optimistic. These aren't accomplishments.
So
Retail, like most of this is not accomplishments. There's no accomplishments in here.
so he ran out of quick. Now
And it
Trump
just keeps going.
Trump used to do this thing that I never understood, but he would have these ceremonies in the Oval Office where he would sign a presidential proclamation, or it was something like that, and he would sign that and then hold it up, and he'd hold it up and he'd give somebody the pen, but all those things were like he was proclaiming that we should try to do this as a nation, or that the Congress should try to do that, and none of it had any. I don't even want to say it didn't have any teeth. It wasn't a real like law. He was
Oh,
signing proclamations I'm guessing the bottom of this list is going to be all the proclamations that he signed. Just guessing.
oh, hold on. We actually got to keep going because I scrolled down and I started reading some of these other ones and
Okay.
yeah, there's some stuff in here. Let's see. Let's see. 95% of American investors optimistic about future retail sales surge last month, up another 6% over last year. So retails was up. Signed the biggest package of tax cuts and reforms in
Okay.
history. After tax cuts, over 300 billion poured back into the U.S. economy in the first quarter alone. So 300 billion
So
poured back in.
here's the deal, real quick. So I was wondering, I was about to ask you, are there any actually like legislative accomplishments? Because that's what's
Yeah.
hard to do.
So
Anybody
that's
can.
that. This is the big Trump tax cut.
It's the one big thing he got through. And you probably don't have it on that piece of paper, but there's a whole thing about the majority of that tax cut went to people that make over a certain amount, 400,000, whatever it is.
Uh-huh.
So it was a tax cut for the upper class and for businesses. He cut the corporate tax rate. I don't remember what the numbers were, but he cut it quite a bit. Now, my issue with that is I have no problem if we're going to do tax cuts, but if you're going to do that, you have to offset the spending in the budget. You can't do a tax cut and increase spending. And he did this thing that I think both sides probably do it, but where he tried to say, oh, well, it's going to pay for itself, but it's going to pay for itself in the form of economic growth over the next blah, blah, blah amount of years. And it's like, no, that's not a real
Yeah.
thing. Like, if you're gonna cut, if that money's not coming in this year, then we need to do something about it. And real quick, just because I was reading this earlier and I haven't pulled up, the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, like scores new bills to give it tries to predict the impact. If this passes, it's going to either add to the debt or it's going to take away the debt over over 10 years normally. Trump and Kamala's plans just got scored. Kamala's plan would add 1.2 trillion to the debt over the next 2 years or 10 years. Sorry. So
That's
definitely.
lower than it's been over the last like 10 years,
Oh,
right?
well, we're adding to. I don't know what we're adding to, but either way, she's not campaigning on lowering the debt. Okay, she's gonna
Right.
her policies are gonna add 1.2 trillion over 10 years. Take a guess at how much Trump's plans would add over the next 10 years.
6 trillion.
You're so close. 5.8. 5.8
Oh,
trillion.
yes.
Yeah. And part of that, 4 trillion of that, and this is why I'm talking about it. 4 trillion of that would be he wants to extend his 2017 tax cuts. That would be 4 trillion of it alone. So
Yeah. Okay. So I actually had a question because me and my dad kind of got into this a little bit earlier.
okay.
With this tax cut, like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, they don't pay taxes at all right now, right? So if they're getting cut, are they actually getting subsidized? Are we actually taking the middle and lower classes taxes and paying Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos to make more billions of
So
dollars?
Elon Musk has a couple companies that do get subsidized. Now, some of them are like SpaceX, which we're using to
Right.
go rescue the astronauts that are they were supposed to be in space for 8 days and they're going to be up there for like a year. So
Yeah.
subsidizing Elon Musk for SpaceX, I don't have a problem with. The left brings that up constantly that, oh, he's on welfare. I think technically he's getting government subsidy. You could maybe say that's welfare, but it's for the space program that we intend to use. So I'm not hating on him for that.
Right.
Um,
Right.
real,
We've kind
real
of let
quick,
him take over NASA, right?
that's what's scary is he I don't like any one person kind of owning our space program, and he totally does. But real quick, you talked about him and Bezos not paying taxes, and I'll if I get this wrong, please somebody comment or come on the show and correct me. But a lot of these guys, the way and Trump did this too, the way that they don't cheat on their taxes. Like remember when they were like Trump only paid $800 one year in taxes, and he said that's because I'm smart. And there's so much truth to that. These guys have accountants that figure out ways they can write off, ways they can show
He's not smart.
losses.
His accountants are smart.
He's smart enough to hire a good accountant. I've said for years that if Jerry Jones was a smart owner, the first thing he'd do is go hire the best GM in the league, which makes me think Jerry Jones is an idiot. Trump is smart enough to go hire a good accountant. So there's my little rant on the Cowboys for the day. But I like I said, I'm not well versed at this. If you have questions, I probably can't answer it. Elon Musk, all these rich guys. Hold on, how much time we got here? 3 minutes. We're gonna have to go to break in a minute. But Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, you name it, they don't take a salary. They take their salary in form of stocks, and they never have to pay taxes on it. And I'm so loose on this, but Kamala Harris's thing about taxes on capital gains, it's a way to go after that, from what I understand. And I keep seeing on Facebook people say like, "Oh, Kamala Harris wants to tax all your stocks, this and that." No, it's only on people over $100 million. So if you have over $100 million worth of stocks, she's coming after some of that money to tax it because you're not. They're taking it as payment, but it's kind of a cheat. Like it's legal, it's a loophole, but they're taking their salary in the form of a stock that they then don't have to pay taxes on.
Well, my dad's retired, right? And that's one thing that he brought up. He was like, it's so my taxes are so much higher under Biden than they were Trump and blah blah blah. And
I don't
I
think they
didn't really,
are.
yeah, I don't think they are either, but that's what he was saying. And I was like, well, he was like he kept saying my employment tax or my what is it called?
Is it
Income
retire?
tax. My
Tax?
income tax is so much higher. And I was like, you don't have income. And he was like, well, my stocks. And I was like, oh, you mean your capital gains tax? And it kind of came up that way. And I was like, I don't know. I haven't looked it up. I don't know if capital gains taxes are any higher, but under Biden than Trump. But yeah, it just seemed like he was very adamant that he was being taxed more under Biden than Trump.
Let's
I
see
hope you
here.
find something because
Yeah, I'm looking here.
I would love to correct my dad on this.
So Biden said that no one making under 400,000 a year will see their taxes go up. Let's see if the
No one under 400,000.
yeah, that's what he said.
Okay.
This
So I would
article,
think that
This article says that they didn't go up. I'd love. I don't know what I'm reading here. What am I reading? I'm reading Newsweek.
Okay.
Am I reading an opinion or let me see. What am I reading here? This is a
Well,
fact check. Okay.
oh, there's a fact check.
Yeah. So this is a fact check on that statement.
Well, anyway, we got dead air time. Let's just keep going.
Yeah.
If
Sorry.
anybody, if anybody has anything, let's chime in. We got so yeah. As a result, our tax bill is small biz. We have the lowest top marginal tax rate in more than 80 years. Okay.
Okay.
Helped with U.S. bid for the 2028 Summer Olympics. Good. Helped with U.S. Mexico Canada's United bid for 2026 World Cup. Opened and ANWR and approved Keystone XL and Dakota Access Pipeline. I kind of have an issue with some of those pipelines.
The the ones that were running through like Indian reservation land is all I like. I know that they were very upset about that, and my thought is like, does it cost a little bit more if we run it around their sacred land? Because if that's the case, I think we should run it around their sacred land. I don't really know the logistics of that.
Well, and that's the problem is they have to do eminent domain to run through anybody's land
Okay.
in the country. And these pipelines are known to just leak oil on the ground.
It seems
So, I
like they
mean,
do.
do you want a
Apparently,
pipeline through your backyard? No, nobody wants a
I saw
pipeline.
I saw something the other day that the ones that you see above the ground that are like on little like platforms that run 5 feet in the air apparently are much better for the environment because when they leak, it's noticed and they plug the leak. Whereas the ones underground, I don't know. I saw that. Don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah, and they have like drones that'll fly over and show you where the leaks are, like with
Yeah.
special like
So
sonar or something. Also it like in Alaska, one of the big things about pipelines in Alaska is it really wrecks the migration of some animals, including
okay,
the what is it? What are the big deer up there? The reindeer.
elk.
No,
Uh,
the
no.
reindeer.
Okay.
I'm blanking, but anyway, yeah, it ruins it like destroys their migration.
Well, let me just say this. We need oil right now. Like if we stop, if the flow of oil into our country stopped tomorrow, like we would be paralyzed as a country. So we need the oil. So that we got to figure out whatever the easiest and best and safest way is to get the oil here. We need to do that. So whether it's a pipeline or, I mean, I think all, shipping. I mean, Exxon Valdez and all the like BP out in the middle of the ocean. Like there's no good way to do it. But we need the oil. So I'm down for trying to do it in the safest and most environmentally protective way. But we need the oil. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Record number of regulations eliminated. We're eliminating regulations on
Yeah,
businesses so that
I think
these pipelines can spill oil out of the ground and not be held responsible, so that these ducks and these deer and all these people can die. Let's just eliminate the regulations.
so. The Republican in me will tell you there are some regulations that I'm cool with. Even I believe Kamala Harris said she wants to cut regulations to make it better, easier for small businesses to get started, or something. She said burdensome regulations. Okay, there are some regulations that can be cut. Now, if it's a cut to a regulation that involves the environment and like that, we were talking a couple episodes ago about the company in Fort Worth that was just pouring pig blood into the local creek or
Oh
whatever.
yeah,
Like
Trinity River,
we
Jesus.
we need some regulations. Now,
Yeah.
I do think that we probably could cut a fair amount of them, and it would make things easier for businesses, small business startup. Like there's probably good reasons to cut some. Just gonna
Dude,
say
I
that.
own a small business and it is absolutely simple to start a small business.
Okay,
It's
hire
not,
6 employees and then talk to me about it.
that might be a little more difficult,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
But if you have your ducks in a row, you can do it.
Okay. I'm just saying
Uh,
it's different when you have a brick and mortar store and 6 employees. Then talk to me about how easy it is.
the downstairs coffee shop has a brick and mortar store with 6 employees, and they're doing just fine.
Okay. I'm very thrilled for them.
Yeah. Enacted regulatory relief for community banks and credit unions. Obamacare individual mandate penalty gone. I'm not sure what that one was.
So that
Uh,
means so with Obamacare, you had to have insurance. Like if you didn't have insurance, if you didn't sign up for Obamacare, you like paid a penalty for not having Obamacare. Trump got rid of that.
okay. All
Yeah.
right. My administration is providing more affordable healthcare options for Americans through association health plans and short-term duration plans. I
So
don't think he
it
really did anything on healthcare, did he?
no, also that's one of the things that I would knock him on the most because he kept saying he has a better healthcare plan than Obamacare. It's
Oh yeah.
better and you're going to see it in 2 weeks. And he said that for 2 years. And finally, when it came time where they actually got a vote off on it, they really didn't have anything better. So they did what I think they called it like the skinny Obamacare, where they basically just chopped some stuff out of it. And that was the one that John McCain famously waited until he was the last vote and walked in and gave it the thumbs down and voted to save
Oh,
Obamacare. And that's
oh,
why Trump hates him to this day. So
oh. Good
yeah,
for
and
good for him, man.
yeah, and something to this something needs to be done about the healthcare industry.
Yeah.
Getting rid of Obamacare. There's so many people that would just not be able to afford healthcare and therefore not go to the doctor and have diseases or ailments they don't know about or that go untreated. Mortality rate would go low. Like
Yeah.
I don't, I
I
don't know
mean,
the
I
answer.
think free medical Medicaid for all is a brilliant plan. And I
I
like
still,
Bernie Sanders has the plan of you tax each trade on the stock market it's like 0.025% of
like
every trade, and you can pay for all of it. And like, why
I
not?
said, Bernie has a good way of explaining it to where it makes a lot of sense.
Let's have
It,
him on.
it's if you can get Bernie on, I'll be thrilled. But what I always go back to real quick, like the DMV is the ultimate example. But like the government doesn't tend to run shit right. They just don't. Like if you have a choice between a private company running it and the government running it, the private company is going to do it more efficiently, just in general. Okay.
Okay.
So the
But
idea of the government,
more expensively.
not always. I'd venture to say I'll bet the private company maybe can do it at a better cost. Like
Hmm.
in Dallas Fort Worth area, if there's a highway being worked on or going up and it's the state doing it, then it takes a year and a half. It seems like it's always watch the NTTA, the North Texas Tollway Association. Like when they decide they're going to build an overpass, it's done in like 3 months. It is done in a
Yeah, but
jiff.
everybody has to pay to drive on it.
Well, and that's what's
And
going to
it's
give it
not
private.
cheap. It's not cheap. I fucking
So
hate these tolls. I'm angry at tolls.
you're
And
paying for
did
the
you know that the majority of tolls are not owned by American, like the majority of tolls in the United States are not owned by United States companies? Like
that's scary.
Australia has a giant stock in our tollway
Australia,
system.
those sneaky Australians. I thought
They're
you were going to say
sneaky.
China for sure, but no, the Australians, bastards.
Right.
Um, but also though, you're paying for it one way or another. You're paying for either like
Yeah, but
through
$15
taxes
to
for the
get
state.
from Grand Prairie to Denton, that's a DFW.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean
yeah,
that's kind of yeah.
I
Especially if
happily
you're
take
doing
the
that
toll
every
road.
single day for, 5 days a week.
You know what's great is a Texas toll tag works in Oklahoma too, so I take toll roads everywhere I go, and I'm thrilled to do it. So
How much do you pay a month in tolls?
I have no idea. It's that, and you know how they say like when you spend cash, you're more frugal with your cash because you can physically see your cash getting
Yeah.
smaller, versus on a credit card. That the whole toll tag thing, like it auto deducts. I
Yeah,
have
you're
no clue
probably
how to
paying
do it.
like $200-300 a month in tolls.
Maybe
You
I
think,
don't drive that much, but yeah, that's if I'm going to Dallas, I'm on a tollway a good majority of the way, and
yeah,
it's
I took that
happily
toll.
take it. Yeah. So
All right, let's keep
anyhow,
going.
any more Trump accomplishments?
Yeah, there's tons. Last month, the FDA approved more affordable generic drugs than ever before in history. And thanks to our efforts, many drug companies are freezing or reversing planned price increases.
Nice.
Okay, we are
Biden's
full.
got him beat on that by negotiating these 10 Medicare drugs that,
Yeah,
but
I just overdid them.
overall,
Yeah, yeah.
if either side wants to try to like rein in big pharma, I'm happy that either side's doing that.
And that's something that I'm noticing is like Trump, like the Democrats are actually doing a good job of like taking some of the good ideas that Republicans have gone out and they're running with them. They're like, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Let's
That's
do no taxes on tips." And like
dude.
Kamala took that straight from Trump and like, "Fine, that's fine. If it's a good idea, it's a good idea. Let's do it."
Trump's very upset about her, and I tonight I think it was on Jesse Waters on Fox News. He had a whole segment about I think it was him. It was copycat Kamala was the whole
Oh,
like 7 minute bit, and it was how she's stealing all his good ideas. And I'm like, hey, if it's a good idea, like I want whoever wins to do this good idea. The funny one, and I don't think she has come out and said this yet, but I guess there's whispers around that she's going to come out in favor of, she's not going to say a border wall, but she's going to say border barriers. And
Yeah.
let me put on my MAGA cap real quick. I wish I had a MAGA cap that I could put on him. It was like this, but like in 2015, Trump did the whole I'm going to build, and Trump, the goalpost got moved quite a bit here, but he initially wanted to build a big cement wall that went from the Gulf of Mexico all the way to California. That was his whole, he said several times it's going to stretch from sea to shining sea. A
Big,
big,
beautiful wall. It's
yeah.
a big, beautiful
And
wall.
border customs and border patrol, whoever it is, Homeland Security, they would tell you like there are certain spots where it makes a lot of sense to have a wall, especially in a city in Tijuana and San Diego, right there. A lot of cities in Texas, like you need a physical barrier. It makes sense. Out in
Sure.
the middle of the desert in New Mexico, Arizona, a big part of the Rio Grande Valley
Yeah.
in
You
Texas,
can't build a
like
wall there.
you can't because of the terrain, but
Yeah.
also like if you try to build a wall, you'd screw up, the natural migration patterns of animals. Flooding would be an issue. It just doesn't make sense. You can do it with technology, and that's what CPB would say, that like you can use technology to monitor these certain parts. We don't need a wall there. But Democrats came out immediately and were like, no, no wall whatsoever. And like there's video of Kamala saying like, I will not vote on any border wall funding, this and that. So they all went way too crazy far left, and it was because there's a lot of truth to this. There were certain things that Trump said that were good ideas, but because Trump said it, everybody just said, nope, I'm automatically taking the other side on this. We should have no border wall whatsoever. Screw you, Donald Trump. And it's like, no, that's not the right answer. The right answer is we need a border wall in certain areas, and we need technology with drones, infrared,
Yeah.
whatever in other areas. And so Kamala supposedly is about to flip back and say that she wants a strong border. I I think a
Did I
lot of
send
I think
you did I send you that video on border walls? And every
I don't think
president's
so.
like almost every president has actually built border walls. Even Obama built up border
Obama put
walls.
up a fence, I believe. It's all about what they refer to it as. He put up a
Right.
fence.
Yeah.
Other
Every
presidents call it
single one of
barriers.
them, they try something with the border, it doesn't work, and they go, okay, we're just gonna build a barrier. And so they build a barrier, and it's kind of crazy. That's actually good. We should link it in the description below.
So I'll say this: you do that, but on immigration and the border, like it's funny because I'll talk to a Republican who will be like, the border, we need to shut down the border. One of our good buddies recently told me we need to shut down the border. And I was like, well, hold on. Like, if we shut down the border, that's going to kill the economy. Like, we need migrant work for a lot of things. And through a quick conversation, we both agreed we do need some immigration, but we need to know who's coming into our country. And I think that if you got both sides together, that's the happy middle ground that everybody would agree with. Like, we need to know who's coming into our country, and we need to make sure and keep the bad people out of our country. But we do need some immigrants to come in. So
Yeah.
beef up border security. The whole system. I liked the Biden, not even the Biden. Biden, he just said he would sign it. James Langford, senator out of Oklahoma, worked with Chris Murphy and Kristen Sinema, I believe, all senators, to come up with the compromise border bill, which would have beefed up security, would have added immigration judges. The Customs and Border Patrol thought it was a pretty good bill. It was a good deal until Trump. It makes sense because immigration and the economy are the two things Trump wanted to run on. And if they would have solved immigration a year and a half before the election, that takes a great issue away from him. So he put out his message that nope, we're not. This isn't a strong enough bill. It was the most awesome bill as a Republican you were ever going to get the Democrats to agree to. Like, it was a pretty Republican bill, but Trump just did not want that issue solved. He wanted to be able to run on that, and he wanted to point at the border
Yeah.
and say, look, there's a caravan coming to rape your wife and daughter and bring in fentanyl to kill your mom and whatever. But that's
Yeah.
like, fixing the border issue isn't just building a wall. Like, there needs to be some barriers in spots. There needs to be other kinds of technology in other spots. And then there needs to be the ports of entry need to be really beefed up with immigration judges and all kinds of stuff. Like, we need to be processing these cases quickly and figuring out, are they a good person that should get to come into the country, or are they a bad person that we're going to send back? And that we were so close. We were so close to having a good border bill. And since the 90s, they've been talking about doing some kind of an immigration bill, and nobody's ever gotten
Dude,
close. And we got
no, it's been since the
close.
60s. Every president since the
Okay.
60s has worked on immigration,
I don't
and
remember the
has
60s.
nobody has figured out a solution.
Yeah. Well, we
Every
were
single one
close.
of them resort to building more wall. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of
Of
crazy. Nobody's
of
figured it
all the
out.
things of all the things Trump did while he was president or in the time since he's been president, that's the one that I'm honestly kind of the most mad about. Is like, oh, like we almost had some kind of immigration bill, like we almost had it, and he didn't want it to get through. So anyhow,
Yeah. But yeah, and that was Biden putting it through, right?
well, no, so Biden didn't write it. Biden just said he,
Oh, right.
when Biden ran for office, he said that if both sides can agree on anything, he'll sign it, and that was his thing. Is he wanted during the Obama years. This is gonna be a quick history lesson, but during the Obama years, there hit a point where Republicans said nothing is going to get passed until you repeal Obamacare, and he wasn't
Oh.
going to do that.
And that's when
So
Mitch
the
McConnell had the stack of bills on his desk.
Yep, and Paul Ryan was head of the House at the time, and
Oh,
they were all at lockstep agreement that nothing gets done. And every day, not I don't know about every day, but like every week, they would try to put up repealing Obamacare for a vote, and it would get all the way to Biden or not Biden, Obama, and he'd veto it. And so that's when, and this is all I like Obama. This is all his fault. Since nothing can get done in Congress, he started doing what was it? A presidential. There's a name for it. Basically, the president declares that this is the way it's going to be.
right.
I can't remember the name of that. Anyway, he did a crap load of them, and some of them were good for the country, but some of them weren't. When Trump came in, Trump had trouble getting anything through Congress. It was kind of a shit show. He managed to get the tax cuts through, but then he just started executive orders. There we go. Sorry, executive orders. So then Trump just went to doing executive orders, and Biden ran on, I'm not going to do these executive orders. I want things to get passed the old school way. The House passes it, the Senate passes it. It comes to me, and I sign it. And with immigration, he said, whatever y'all can work out, I will sign. So he gets no credit for crafting the bill by any means, but he was willing to sign it. So I give the senators that got together in a bipartisan way and came up with a bill. That's awesome. Like I wish we could do that on a really regular basis, but it's a once in every 10-year type deal right now.
Okay. Yeah. Shit. That's just a lot. There's a lot there.
A whole lot. So
let's see. Obamacare. Let's see. My administration is providing more affordable healthcare options. No, it's not. We reformed the Medicare program to stop hospitals from overcharging low-income seniors on their drugs, saving seniors hundreds of millions of dollars this year alone. Signed right to try legislation. Secured $6 billion in new funding to fight the opioid epidemic.
Real quick, back up that right to try. I might be wrong on this, but I think that was the thing where if you were dying, I liked this bill a lot. If you were dying of some terrible disease, they would let you try experimental medications that hadn't been approved yet. But it was kind of the thought was you're going to die anyway. Let them try the experimental thing. Like maybe it'll work. And I remember that one. That was a good one. So,
well, were the Democrats against it or what?
No, I think that passed by part, but Trump was in office when it passed, so he gets credit for it.
Credit.
That's how it goes. Yeah.
All right.
I don't think anybody was against that.
All right. We have reduced high dose opioid prescriptions by 16% during the first year in office. Great. Okay. Signed VA Choice Act and VA Accountability Act, expanding VA telehealth services, walk-in clinics, and same-day urgent primary and mental health care. Can't complain about that.
Yep.
Increased our coal exports by 60%. U.S. oil production recently reached all-time high. Okay. Coal.
And right now, what's weird is under the Biden administration, everybody says that he's, cut our oil production. We're pumping out more oil right now than we have at any point in our history. Like drill, baby, drill.
Biden. That should be Biden's turn.
Dude, Biden should be taking shit from the far left for this, but like they were so against drilling and fracking and all these things when Trump was in office. But then now that Biden's doing it, the left is just kind of like they're not mentioning it. So they're almost looking the other way. So
yeah.
All right, I can't keep going on this Trump list. We're down to things where it sounds like it's executive orders he passed, but how much more do you have? Because this is we're going on like
not too much
minutes.
more. Okay, not too much more. Hold on. Yeah, United States is net neutral gas export for the first time since 1957. Now we're
exporting more than
now we're exporting more. Withdrew United States from job-killing Paris Climate Accord. That was a bad move.
And it's one of those where America needs to lead and set the example. And I get that the Republican thing was, well, hey, China's not following it, so why should we hamper ourselves manufacturing-wise if China's not playing by the same rules? That was their idea. I think that we should have worked to get China to follow. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to lead the way on not polluting. And you can say I don't believe in climate change. Okay, if that's where you're at, but let's just not pollute the world. Like polluting the water and the air is bad. So even
Yeah.
if you don't think it's changing the climate, let's just pollute less. That's kind of where I'm at.
Absolutely. Pollute less. Everybody.
Yeah.
Stop throwing your cigarette butts and your trash out the window in your car. Do your part. Cancel the illegal anti-coal so-called Clean Power Act. Bad move.
Yeah.
Secure
There
like bad for the environment. And I don't understand
there's
why.
no such Trump coined this term clean coal. I've seen a million things about this. There is no such thing as clean coal. Anyhow, go ahead.
Well, they have these big filters that filter the coal. I don't know how much it does. I don't know much about
Yeah.
it, but yeah, apparently there is clean coal, like a movement or something.
Okay.
I don't know. Secured record 700 billion in military funding, 716 billion next year, which
So
is, I
that's
mean,
where he
me and you both
increased.
agree that we should not be spending as much money as we do in the military.
Well, here's the thing: if you want to increase military spending, then you have to cut it from somewhere else. The budgets that Trump was signing every year were getting bigger. They were called omnibus spending bills. But if you want to spend more on the military per se, cool. Either take that money from somewhere else or raise taxes. But you can't lower taxes and then also spend more. I'm a stickler for that. I will bring that up frequently.
Okay.
So,
NATO allies are spending 69 billion more on defense. Good. Yeah.
yep.
Process has begun to make the Space Force the sixth. I do love the Space Force. I'm gonna go with Space Force all the way, baby. Give it
They
to
Okay, so the only thing I have against the Space Force is they were so uncreative with their logo. It's the Star Trek logo. Like they took the Star Trek logo and like made one little change and said, "There we go." Like, come on, let's redo that. Let's do something good.
me. I love Space Force. I need a Space Force t-shirt. That's what I need.
I'll get you a hat.
Um, Confirmed Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch, and yeah, we don't like Brett Kavanaugh or Neil
Three of them.
Gorsuch.
Yeah.
Meh. Withdrew from the horrible one-sided Iran deal. I don't know much about that, but I feel like we got screwed. There's something with nukes.
So he was mad because even though they were letting us in to inspect to make sure that they weren't enriching uranium to the certain level that then it could be used for a nuke. But he basically said, "Ah, they're lying anyway." Like we were going in and inspecting, but he just kind of said they're clearly lying and trying to build a nuke. I'll bet they are. I would assume that
Yeah.
secretly North Korea has one, but all those countries that hate us are probably trying to build a nuke. So
Yeah, oh yeah,
it's an
for
odd
sure.
thing. It's an odd thing how we have nukes and we've decided that we're going to tell people what countries can have nukes and not. Now, I'm glad that all these other countries that hate us don't have nukes, but it's just kind of funny that we're like, no, you're not allowed to have one. No, you're just not.
And here's the thing. Okay, the next one is, and we've gotten this pushback from both of our recent Republican like arguments,
Okay.
is that Trump had no wars under him, right? And they
Okay.
they all try and say there was no uh military US military men killed during his thing, which is completely false.
Well, there was the base in Iraq that got hit, and
There was
I
quite
don't
a
know if they
few
got injured or
military
killed.
deaths.
But then he assassinated the leader of the Iranian military, like
Yeah,
getting off a plane. He hit him. Yeah, we were doing a lot to battle them. There was no full scale war, and
right.
there still is no full scale
There's still,
war.
yeah,
So
Biden still has
yeah,
not gotten into war, but there
no
are two wars going on that we like, two big wars going on that we know of. But
one
moving
war.
the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem, that's one of his accomplishments. And I
That's
feel like if he didn't do that, that there might not be a war over in Israel right now.
So I
Gaza.
think that contributed to it.
Yeah.
Um, I'll talk to you for an hour one night about Israel because I watched so many just hour long things about it. But the whole deal when they first split up Israel was that they split it into sections and the sections didn't make sense. They should have split it in half and been like, you get this half and you get this half. But instead there were pockets everywhere of the different,
Yeah.
Palestinian but
The pockets
Jerusalem
start
was
shrinking.
yeah, you've seen the maps, but
Yeah.
Jerusalem was supposed to be an international city because all three major of the Abrahamic religions have holy sites there. So that was always supposed to be an international city that no one side owned. And slowly, the U.S. has been helping, but Israel is just kind of taking that over and claiming that as their capital. And we finally made it official and moved our embassy there, which was basically signaling that no, Israel gets Jerusalem, and that's not what the original agreement was supposed to be. But anyhow.
Yeah. Okay. Protecting Americans from terrorists with the travel ban, by Supreme Court. Issues executive order to keep open Guantanamo Bay. Sure. Concluded a historic U.S.-Mexico trade deal to replace NAFTA, and negotiations with Canada are underway as we speak. That might have been a good one, right?
So the
Like,
NAFTA one, he basically he complained about NAFTA and said we got to get rid of it, and then he replaced it with like NAFTA light. It was basically, I think the one or two things that he took away, I think were probably good for our economy. You know, it was a good deal, but like he replaced NAFTA with another version of NAFTA. So
okay.
he should
Uh,
have just said NAFTA needs to be reworked and then gone in and negotiated and reworked it. But he made it a whole deal. And I think NAFTA was a Bill Clinton thing. And I think it was just he wanted to stick it to Bill Clinton and get rid of that and have a new
yeah.
one that Trump did.
His
Anyhow,
expert negotiating skills. Just take
yeah.
it all away and then we'll revamp it. All right, reached a breakthrough agreement with the EU to increase U.S. exports, impose tariffs on foreign steel and aluminum to protect our national security. Now, people are starting to say that these tariffs are actually a tax on American citizens because everything goes up, which means he increased taxes. Um, impose tariffs on China in response to China's forced technology transfer, intellectual property theft, and their chronically abusive trade practices. I agree with that. I don't like the intellectual property theft, which I'm sure they're still doing. I don't know how they're keeping track of that.
So
Uh,
the intellectual property theft going after China for that is yeah, we need to get even more serious about that. The
yeah,
tariffs, I'd like to back up for a second because there's been an argument for the past couple of weeks. Is part of Trump's plan is he's going to do like across the board tariffs on any import into America. And economists are saying that's going to cost American families, the average family, $3,900 a year. So it's almost a tax on Americans. Okay.
yep,
A buddy of ours that runs a shop, I remember talking to him at the time, and he was like, "Yeah, our price Yakima just went up through the roof because it's coming from China. It's under these tariffs." So JD Vance was on ABC this weekend and they asked him about that and he was arguing. No, he said actually economists are split about it. You know, they don't all agree
yeah,
that it's no, it's pretty clear. Like if we raise the if we create tariffs, those overseas companies are gonna jack their price up to cover that.
yep,
And then the companies here that are selling it are they're gonna jack their price up and it ultimately falls to the consumer.
yeah.
I don't understand how that's being argued right now. And that's another one. If somebody would like to come on and convince me of otherwise, I'm all ears. But like tariffs, we end up paying for. There's
Yeah.
this whole Made in America push. Like it's interesting to me because I agree. It'd be awesome if everything was made in America. It's just for supply line issues. Like if there's another COVID, it'd be great if things were made here and we didn't have to worry about things coming from overseas. But if we're gonna make everything made in America, the price of everything is gonna go up. Okay, there's a reason that shit that's made in China and Mexico is a lot cheaper, Pakistan, wherever, and
It's
it's because
because
they don't pay minimum wage.
12-year-old girls
Yeah,
are working in the factory
yeah.
for 12 cents an hour.
A pair of Nikes coming from a sweatshop in Vietnam, like if I don't want to think that there's some people in a sweatshop making my Nikes, but I also don't want to pay twice as much for my Nikes. So I'm kind of at a moral impasse there. Like
Yeah.
I kind of want to keep paying. So every time people talk about, you know, we need to make more things in America, I agree, but also let's be real, the price is going to go up if it's made in America. That's
Yeah,
just the
and if
way it
those
is.
children want to work, let them work.
Yep, just let's do it in Arkansas. Sarah Huckabee Sanders can have like
Oh
eighth graders.
yeah,
Yeah,
we can start making Nikes in Arkansas.
it works.
Damn
Yeah,
straight.
you don't have to pay them full price. I don't think. Maybe you do. So
I think the minimum wage in Arkansas is like what, 250?
I'd hope it's more than that. So
We're almost done. Net exports on track to increase by 59 billion this year. Improved vetting and screening for refugees and switched focus to overseas resettlement. We have begun building the wall. Republicans want strong borders and no crime. Democrats want open borders, which equals massive crime. There's a lot of
see,
capitals in that one. So
this is another one where I'm going to be on the Republican side though, because Democrats like to point out that like Trump only really built like it's something stupid like 17 miles of new wall is what they say.
yeah,
Most of what he did was upgraded existing wall, and they give
yeah,
him crap for that, and they say, oh, he really only built the places where there already was wall or were a barrier. Like that's where we need a wall, and he beefed it up. So that's I'm sure if people sat down and looked at it, okay, where do we need to spend this money? Where's the first place to attack? They probably did it in the city areas where there was already a barrier, and that barrier needed to be improved. So I don't have any problem with that. It's funny to say, you know, oh, he only built 17 miles of wall, but he built a lot of new wall where there was previous wall. They don't count that.
Well, these motherfuckers need to get creative because the wall doesn't work. Like you go around the wall. Like this
Just,
is the
just
thing. You're coming from Ecuador. You either hit Texas here or you hit Texas over here where there's no wall. Like
so
they
you're
know where to go to get around the wall. And
so you're
like the
making
wall doesn't fucking work. Or there's tunnels. There's tunnels underground. And
so
like
y-
it
you're
just doesn't
making the
work. Like they
argument.
need to revamp the whole system. This is the
Hold
problem.
on. You're making
10
the
minutes.
argument for you're making the argument for a wall from sea to shining sea because you're saying, oh, they just go around. Okay, then we need to do what Trump said and build a whole wall. Here's the deal, real quick. What we need to do is get control of our ports of entry. Like people talk about fentanyl all the
Yes.
time. Like fentanyl is walking across the border. Fentanyl is coming in on trucks over the border at ports of entry.
Yep.
Like that's where 99% of it's coming from. People aren't walking across with a backpack full of fentanyl.
Nope.
So it's a lot more complex than any side wants to make it, and that's what bothers me.
Yeah.
How much you got left on this Trump list? I had so much stuff to talk about,
That's
and we've
it.
talked about.
That's it. The border
Okay,
wall was the last thing. But I do want to say when I run for president,
okay.
I am going to run for we're taking the Rio Grande back because I want the Rio Grande. Like this,
Like the
that is
river.
our river.
Okay. So you want to put
Well,
up a fence on the other side of the river so that they
yeah,
can't
we're
get in
gonna
our
move the
river?
wall from one side of the river to the other side so that we have a place to recreate.
Okay. I think we should just take over the northern part of Mexico so we can have both sides of the river.
Oh yeah, yeah, or
Yeah.
just all of Mexico. Why not?
That's there's talks about like us like not invading Mexico, but like basically like doing I guess like fighter jet missions to go over and like bomb the cartels and
We
like
can't do
that.
that.
Yeah, Mexico. If Mexico allowed us to, then okay, cool. But they're not going to let that happen at all. So
No.
that's kind of comical to me.
No, apparently the president of Mexico is in bed with the cartels. The
Oh,
last
I
time I was in
believe
Mexico,
that.
the last time I was in Mexico, that's what
Yeah.
one of our cab drivers was saying.
So I believe that. Um, real quick, I got so much here. We're gonna have to do another episode tomorrow. Did you see this is the highlight of my day? I always like to tell you what makes me giggle. Did you see Trump's new video today where he, for a limited time only, is coming out with a new edition of limited, what do they call the limited edition Trump digital trading cards?
Oh, I love his trading cards.
Yeah, they
Amazing.
always make him look so fit. So we got that. Trump's got new trading cards out. The grift, even though I think he's really trying to be president, but like there's always the instinct to grift and try to make money when you can. So um let's see here. We got a debate. Trump agreed to the debate tonight. Have you seen that? That was breaking news today, I guess.
What was that? Oh,
We
debate.
yeah, the debate is
Yeah,
on for September 10th.
I did see that.
What are you sharing? Are you going to show us some Trump digital trading cards?
Yeah, we're gonna share the Trump digital trading
Is
cards.
that a Superman one?
Oh, look at that. Oh, look how beautiful that is.
That's awesome. Hold on,
$30.
go back. I saw the one I want. Go back real quick.
You saw the one you wanted?
Yeah.
Hold on. Which one? This one?
Scroll down. Oh, where'd it go? Okay, right. Sorry, bottom left, where he's ripping off his shirt with the T.
This one?
Yeah, that's the
Oh
one.
yeah. That's a nice
Beautiful.
one. Yeah, yeah.
They
Oh,
make
look
him
at
look so
this.
fit.
Oh, he does. He looks like he's ripped. I mean, it must be all that golf he's been playing, right?
Did you see? So you need to
He's
try to find a picture of when he met with Netanyahu. See if you can pull that up real quick. When he met with Netanyahu a couple weeks ago at Mar-a-Lago, all the pictures, they're sitting there looking presidential, doing a meeting. Yeah, meeting there. Let me go to images. Oh, where's it at? Scroll down for me. You're going too fast. And yeah,
oh,
there's a couple of pictures where in the background is a picture of Trump wearing like a tennis outfit, I guess, like a white sweater and white shorts.
oh, great.
And yeah, and like it's an extremely fit Trump. It's not the Trump. Where is it?
Uh,
Yeah, we're not gonna find it.
okay. Was
Anyhow,
it Fit Trump?
yeah, it was a Trump that weighs like 185 pounds and
Oh,
probably runs a 4.40. It was interesting, but it was like the age Trump of today. It wasn't a young Trump. It was like Trump at this age, but in incredibly great shape. Um,
okay.
so anyhow, this is something we could get into next time. But people are saying that Trump is kind of flipping on abortion. I don't think he's flipping on abortion, but he's softened his stance. And this is big when it comes to the polling right now. Trump, Florida is going to vote here when I guess on November 6th, whatever day the election is. Florida is voting on whether or not to allow abortion. It's on what do they call it, a referendum or whatever.
Okay.
And they're asking Trump which way he's going to vote on that because he's voting in Florida. And he said, I'll tell you that later. He didn't come right out and say that he's voting against it. And he did a post on Truth Social the other day where he said a Trump presidency would be great for women's reproductive rights. And like reproductive rights is a lefty term. Like the right doesn't
Yeah.
talk about reproductive rights. So
Right.
he's trying to like he realized that the whole he that's a big issue for him. Killing Roe versus Wade. And our buddy tonight said, like, he didn't kill it, the judges did. Well, he put the judges there that would do it. And then after they did it, he took credit for it. He came out and
Yeah.
said, I did this. So you got to own it, man. You took credit for it. You did it.
Yeah.
So that's pay attention to that because if the far right evangelicals start to feel like they've been betrayed there and they stay home, that's disastrous. Like right there.
I think
Let's
his
see
whole campaign is a disaster. I don't think he's gonna. I mean, I think we're done with Trump, and I would like to know how long before we get rid of the MAGA movement and we can get back to like a. I would like a five-party system, but like at least a
five
two
party.
part a two sane party system.
Do you know about the what is it correlation between ranked choice voting and getting a third party system?
Yes.
Yeah, we're the only way we're ever going to get a true third party system is if we go to ranked choice voting like nationally.
Yeah.
And I think that the Democrats and Republicans would have to agree to do that,
They're not gonna
and
do
they
that.
don't want. Yeah, but that's the answer right there. We got 4 minutes, and I got like 10 minutes worth of stuff to talk about. You want to do one more?
Sure.
So on news of the economy, have you heard anything recently about the polling that's gone out about Kamala's economic plan?
No. Oh, what's that cup? We had somebody ask in our comments what your cup was.
This is my Andy cup.
Give us a little rundown.
So my buddy up here in Oklahoma, my good buddy Justin gave me this cup, and when I first saw it, I was like, I think he thinks I'm into men. Like I was like, he gave me a rainbow. What are these called? Care Bears cup with my name on it. But I don't know if
I
you
think
can.
it's Care Bears.
Let's see
Yeah.
here. Can you read that?
Oh, and it says "fuck it." All
Okay,
right,
hold on. All
that's
these
a good one.
bears.
Eat a bag of dicks. I
Yeah,
like that.
these are the dirtiest bears in the world, and this became my favorite cup. Like so, I think I got that in the last 6 months or so. But yeah, love that cup. That's my
Nice.
my at my desk cup. And then as long as I'm doing shout outs real quick, you notice my upgraded headgear I got going on today?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I told myself I was going to spend zero money to do this with you. Like this was just if we can do it with what we already have. I same buddy that gave me the cup gave me a ring light, like one of those social media donut lights that's over here now
Uh-huh.
behind me.
Yeah.
And then I get home yesterday and I got a birthday coming up in like 10 days, and one of our good buddies from Austin sent me this like high quality headset and mic and two.
Jesse.
Yeah, and so thanks to Jesse and two lights.
Hey Jesse.
Yeah, we could get him on to talk sometime.
Shout out to Jesse.
Yeah, but it gave me two lights like on tripods that I got to figure out how to work into this. So
Cool.
yeah, I have spent zero money still on this, but I'm upgrading equipment left and right due to people. I think my audio quality must have been that bad that they were like, just buy him a new mic. It's so bad. So I'm hoping this
No, it
sounds
was not
better.
bad. But yeah, no, it sounds good. Yeah, I like the
Yeah.
headset.
So a shout out to my buddies Jesse and Justin who would get along. So we should get them together one time. Anyhow, back to Kamala's economics. So Kamala's released a little bit of her economic plan. She released a little bit more this week. She's gonna have to put more out soon. The media is really onto her for this, but at the same time, like Trump's not releasing any kind of a plan. So it's like let's get on to both of them to get a plan. Anyhow,
Exactly. Neither one of them really playing.
dude. So Kamala's the whole price controls thing. She said she's going to go after price gouging, and Fox News brilliantly immediately said she's talking about price controls, and that's communist shit right there. And
Right.
that's been a talking point. And in my mind, she didn't do a very good job of clarifying. And this is something where the next day she should have come out and said, "Hey, they're saying price controls. I didn't say that. I want to strengthen price gouging laws." There's price gouging laws on the books in, I don't know, 20 something states, I believe. Texas
Right.
has them, Arkansas has them, like red
Yep.
states have them. What
Mostly states with like natural disasters
Yeah.
where house housing is an issue. Yeah.
She needs to come out and say this, but right now, like her people in her campaign are coming out and saying it for her. She needs to come out and say this, but they're saying no. She wants to basically take the same laws that are on the books in certain states, like Texas, Arkansas, whatever, and she wants it to be a federal law. Now,
Huh.
the Republican in me says, let the states handle that shit. That don't, let's get less government in our lives. That is kind of how I feel. But
Yeah.
the whole price controls thing, it seemed like, ooh, like she kind of stumbled there, and the Republicans are going to take this and run with it. And man, YouGov did a poll today. I have this poll in front of me. This is only one poll, and one you should never trust one poll and say that this is for real. You need to see 3 or 4 polls. It's got you ever go shooting, like shooting rifles, handguns, or whatever. You always do
Yeah.
you
Oh.
always do a 3-shot grouping. You do 3 shots, and then you
Yeah.
figure out the average of those, and that's how you sight in a rifle or whatever. Same with polls.
Yep.
One poll doesn't mean nothing. Show me 3 that say the same thing, and then I'm looking. So this is one poll. Oh, this is so ridiculous. By the way, the American public is morons. I'm a moron. I told my daughter this the other day, but I'm a moron, and I feel like I'm smarter than half the people I meet, which is bad. Like that's a bad sign for humanity because I know I'm not that smart. But populism, Trump was a populist. Kamala is running on populist shit right now. Like the
Totally.
public will vote to do shit that's in their harm. Like it's just like that's how communists
But
has happened
couldn't we say that populism is democracy? Is that's how democracy kind of works? Is populism?
to a degree. There needs to be an element of populism in it. But if you just let the people, if everything was a public referendum and everything was just on the ballot, like we'd be in a bad place to a degree. We got to
Would
keep.
we?
Yeah, I don't give humanity a lot of credit.
What would go haywire?
I think that every country that you look at that's tried communism, that's my answer. Like
Communism.
communism is a populist idea.
Not, no.
It
Communism is you have a dictator who
it doesn't
kind of
start that
runs
way.
everything.
It doesn't start that way. Communist revolutions are full of yeah. Well, let's talk about communism. We can go through the history of the couple countries it's happened at. We'll do that on another date. Okay.
Okay.
Real
All
quick,
right. Yeah,
I,
curious. I
I
don't know
feel
much.
I feel like these morons don't know what they're saying here, but 82% of people like her idea to increase the number of this is a good one number of drugs eligible for Medicare price negotiations. I think across the board that's a good one.
Okay.
Capping monthly insulin cost at $35. That's 78% agree with that. These first couple are just should be that way. Expanding the earned income tax credit for lower wage workers up to $1,500. Basically, a $1,500 tax cut for lower class people. 73% are down with that. Capping out of pocket expenses for prescription drugs at 2,000, 72%. So,
Okay.
these are good numbers.
Yeah.
Here's the one that was a kicker: directing the federal government to work with states to eliminate Americans' medical debt. So basically, paying off student loans, but paying off people's medical debt. 68% agree.
Okay.
Capping increases on food and grocery prices, which the way that's worded is price controls. Okay. Cap
Okay. Yeah.
Capping increases on food and grocery prices. 65%, according to this one survey, are in favor of that. Okay.
Huh.
That
Capping. Okay.
capping increases on
Yeah.
food. That is
That is price control.
that's price, and 65% are like, yeah, let's do it. There were a couple other notable ones in here. The one that pulled the worst was extending subsidies towards costs from the Affordable Care Act. So basically an Obamacare type thing. And that was 52%. So all the things in her economic plan, the lowest one pulled at 52%. Everything else was above that. Most of them were in the 60s, 70s, and some in the low 80s.
Okay. So holy shit. Something just popped into my mind. And
Okay.
we were talking about populism leading to communism, meaning that most people want communism.
Yeah. Okay. So
Is
it,
that kind of the thing
there's a
that,
balance. You need to keep the economy good, and you need to keep the wealth gap between the super wealthy and the middle class close, which it's been getting further apart over the not it's
yeah.
not Trump's fault. It's just been getting further apart for a long time. So the wealth gap is, I think, is what they call it. But if
Right.
you hit a certain point where you now have some like oligarch type people that are the richest of the rich, and then everybody else is suffering, everybody else can't make bills, people are going hungry, that's the recipe that leads to a communist revolution. Okay. We're going to take it
Mm.
back. We're going to take it back from the rich, and we're going to have equal wealth distribution for all the
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Like, so from a rich person standpoint, you'd be smart to like, hey, maybe we should pay a little more taxes or whatever. You want to keep all those sheep down there happy to the point where they're not going to revolt. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But if that wealth gap gets so big, you're going to have, and when the communists come for the
And
rich people,
it's getting close. It's getting close here, isn't it?
we're not getting close yet. Tonight, the friend we were talking to kept saying she's a Marxist, which is kind of like calling her a communist. I don't think that if Kamala wins, I don't think she's going to start instituting straight up Marxist policies. But I'll say this: if you're a really wealthy person, if you're Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or something like that, if it starts to look like, oh shit, there could be a communist revolution, that's the scariest thing in the world. You're going to get, you and your family are probably going to get killed. Like that's what generally happens. Like the greedy wealthy people don't end up good in that situation. So I get why they fight against it. So, and I don't want communism. I don't think you want, if you knew what communism really was, you don't want communism either. But I'm just saying the super rich, like that's a fucking scary thing for them. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Even the whole providing $25,000 in down payment assistance for first time home buyers, that pulled at 57%. I'm trying to think here. The $6,000 child tax credit for the first year of your new kid's life, 59%.
Yeah, I mean that's a good thing.
The pandemic era child tax credit, $3,600 per child, 59%. So her economic policy is polling really well according to one poll. Okay. Again, need to see some more polls. But if that holds true, like what was I got it over here. A different poll. Who do you trust more for lowering food costs? 39% said Kamala and 38% said Trump. That's crazy. I can't, the way that she's managed to distance herself from the current administration and run as she's running against Trump, who she's framing as the incumbent. We're not going back to his way. We're doing something new, my way. She's the VP right now. When a couple weeks ago, I laughed and I said, it's crazy that she's trying to run as the hope and change because she's the incumbent. And I thought it was funny. And she's still doing it. And like,
she's flipped it to him being the incumbent.
I don't know if this will last, but I also remember the thing I said about people being morons.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not trying to be rude, but like, she's doing it. And according to the polls we're seeing, like, people are like believing it. I don't know.
They're both kind of the incumbents, right?
Well, the thing is, we know what Trump's going to do for the most part. Now, there's a couple of things where Trump's moving to the left on some things because he's realizing, like with Roe versus Wade, women's reproductive rights, like it's a bad issue for him. So he's sliding over to the left where like I said, he's got to watch out because if he slides too far left, he's going to lose people. People on the far right, what do they call it? I wrote it down. I got too much stuff written down over here. Abortion is a crime against humanity, is what one of the pro-life groups said today, like yesterday, I think. After Trump started talking, kind of hinting that he might move to the left on this, they came out very against that and said it's a crime against humanity. You can't be pro-choice at all. So
okay,
I guarantee he's never going to tell.
IVF is the weirdest thing to me.
I don't understand that.
How can you go against IVF? Yeah.
Well, the Republicans are backing off of that hardcore. Like, they had one bill that they voted against IVF. It was like a protection of IVF rights, and they took some shit for that. And immediately, like if you see any of them get asked about it on any of the shows, they're like, "Whoa, no Republican is trying to do this." And there was one vote where they did, but they're all acting like, "Not me. Like I'm all for IVF." Okay. And several of them are coming out and saying, "My wife got IVF, and I'm sure she did." But
so everybody besides Vance is backing off of IVF because he still seems to be going hard on IVF.
I don't remember that coming up on Sunday morning when he was on ABC, honestly. But
okay.
he and you know what, I'll say this. He said that if on Sunday morning, he said that if a national abortion ban got to Trump's desk, he would veto it. Which I like to hear that, but the far right is not going to like that. That's what their goal was. You ever heard the expression? It's like the dog that caught the car's tire, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
The dog's always trying to catch the tire, and then when they finally do catch it, they get hurt. And that's what abortion was. Is they ran on abortion, and if you vote for us, we're gonna make pro-life the law of the land. We're gonna get rid of Roe versus Wade, and they finally did it. And oh shit, that was a mistake. Like I'm sure any Republican strategist right now that's looking at numbers is going, God, why did we get rid of Roe versus Wade? Like this would be so much easier if we still had abortion to run on, but we don't anymore. And not only
Yeah.
that, but Trump is sliding left on the issue. So
Yeah, they're
interesting.
all over the place with that issue. I do
Yeah.
have a question. What do you think about because this has come up over the last 2 days, walls and China. Him going to China 30 times.
So they did this with Bernie and Russia back in the day. Bernie just liked to go to Russia. He apparently went there quite a bit. And uh, I would have to see anything that shows there's some ties between walls and the government or spies or anything. If he just went to China a whole bunch, then I don't think too much of it, honestly.
So here's the thing is my dad brought it up and
Okay.
thought that he was in bed with China. And I was like, I didn't have anything to say. I just kind of ignored it.
I,
I didn't have anything to say. So I looked it up and apparently he's part of some like teacher organization over there where he goes over there and teaches students. And that's his tie. And I'm just like, okay, that makes complete
So,
sense.
and here's the thing: the reason I haven't really even given it any thought is because, like, if you could show me where he voted for some bills that really helped China, and he's also going to China 30, now I'm all ears. Like, but if there was some bills like that that he voted to help China, we'd hear about it. We'd be hearing about it all day
Oh yeah,
long on Fox News. So I don't think those are
for
out
sure.
there. Um, but that's my kind of thing. Is like, okay, he went to China, and like if there's more to the story, let's talk about it. If there's not anything else to the story, then he likes to go to China, which it turns out I guess he goes there as part of a teacher program. Cool.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I think that's part of the throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks type thing. You know, like let's
Yeah,
just
it's one of those Republican talking point things that's just like, why are you even bringing this up? You like,
well because
you can easily do a Google search.
I
Why is Tim Walz going to China so much?
I said this like on our first or second episode, but there's certain like keywords, like buzzwords that Republican, if you can call somebody a communist, or if you can say DEI, China, like there's certain
China.
words that if you just say that word, people's ears perk up. But boys and or transgender boys and girls sports, like that'll get some people riled up right there. So China's one of those. Yeah, if you can try to say that it looks like they're in bed with China, people instinctively will just be like, "Oh, I hate him. He's in bed with China." What do you mean in bed
Yeah.
with China? So I don't know. And if we want to talk about in bed with China, and I wish this would get talked about more, while Trump was president, Ivanka got 19 trademarks in China.
Oh yeah.
Do you know
Oh
how
yeah.
hard it is for an American citizen? We talked about the intellectual
Yeah.
property theft and all that. They don't just give trademarks to American citizens. Ivanka got
Right.
19 while working in the White House.
Yeah, it's like a 10 to 20 year process. Yeah.
Why isn't that talked about all the time? I don't understand that at all. So
Yeah,
yeah,
because the Democrats don't, yeah, they
yeah.
don't know how to like go on message or go against like fight somebody with their weaknesses. Like they don't point these things out. Like
They're getting
it's kind of
better at
weird.
it. Right now they're getting better at it.
Yeah.
The whole Trump thing. Caitlin Collins, who's she's like the 8 o'clock show on CNN. She went on Bill Maher's show on Friday night, and during her interview, she said she was hearing rumblings that like Trump is kind of looking for a way to back out of the debate, like he doesn't want to do it. And I thought that was odd. Like I almost didn't believe that. I was like, no, like he'd be called a chicken if he backed out. Like he can't do it. And
Yeah.
then like the next day, he was posting shit on True Social. It was like, why would I go on ABC for debate? They're so unfair, blah blah. And it was like he was laying the groundwork to do it. I
Yeah.
tell you all that to tell you. Then yesterday, Kamala's like her official Twitter page for her campaign or whatever was tweeting videos of Trump talking about not doing the debate, but like under it, they were playing the chicken bark, 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 bark,
Oh yeah.
bark, like
Yeah.
like to taunt Trump. And that's a Trump move. That's something the Trump campaign would generally do. And I gotta give credit to the Harris campaign because they're going at Trump. Like did you see Quentin
Yeah.
Tarantino? Quentin Tarantino was on the Bill Maher podcast just a couple days ago. Did you see this?
No.
So shockingly, Quentin Tarantino is apparently a Kamala fan. He said he's voting for her no matter what. I didn't see that coming. I thought he would be a
Why is
Republican.
that? You thought he'd be a Republican?
Yeah, just based off, and it's totally just a foolish thought by me because I see the shows he goes on, the people he hangs out with or talks to. So he just seemed to be more in the right wing crowd, is what I thought.
Huh.
Um,
Interesting.
but yeah, he was saying like Kamala shouldn't do any interviews. Like she's playing to win. Like, put the hammer down. She is running a race. Don't stop and stumble. Like, just keep running. She doesn't owe an interview to anybody. And I was like, whoa, like, I don't agree with that.
True.
I want her to, whether it's through an interview or a speech or whatever, I want her to get real specific on policies. Trump's not going to do it. I'm not even holding my breath for Trump to do it. We've seen all we're going to see out of Trump. We got his website has his 20 promises to America. None of them,
Promises.
none of them show how they're going to do any of it. A lot of it says like, the first one says, I'm going to instruct my cabinet on day one to use every tool at their disposal to combat inflation. What? Like, what? Tell me, give me some steps you're going to do. At least Kamala is telling us what she's going to do. Now, you can argue over whether it'll work or make it worse. That's an argument you can have, but she's laid out a little bit of a plan. Not a lot of a plan, but a little bit of a plan. Trump
Right.
ain't telling us shit. So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of crazy.
Yeah. All right. I think that's about all I got. CNN debate's going to be on a Thursday. Dana Bash is hosting it. The mics are going to be muted, which that was the latest thing.
Yeah.
So in the first debate, the Democrats really wanted the mics to be muted because they thought, and rightly so, if Biden was trying to get out a sentence and Trump started kind of jabbering at him, like, you can make Biden lose his place and all that. So they wanted it muted because Biden wouldn't be able to handle it if Trump was talking over him. And now we have a role reversal where Trump wants the mics muted and Kamala's saying, no, unmute the mics. And she's doing it because I think they know that she's going to get under his skin and then he's going to be talking over her and they're trying to get him.
He looks like an asshole.
They want him to get unhinged. And the Trump campaign is like, no, muted. So I think they are going to go muted now. So that Trump won that.
Hopefully the second debate, they don't mute.
I don't think there'll be a second debate. I think we're going to get one debate. I bet money that after the first debate, I think the first debate will be one of those where if you're a Democrat, you watch it and you're going to say Kamala did great and she won. And if you turn on Fox News, they're going to say Trump did great and he won. So both sides are going to claim victory. And I think Trump's going to claim that the moderator was unfair to him or something, and there's no need for him to do another debate. That's my prediction. Is we get one debate, so let's make it count, and then we'll get a vice presidential debate. But I'll be shocked.
Two debates.
The only way that we get two debates is if Trump gets his ass kicked in the first debate. Like if like even Fox is like, that wasn't good, then he'll have to do it. If he can survive a tie, he's not going back for round two. So if he kicks Kamala's ass, if he wins the first one, Kamala has to do round two. So I think we'll see.
Yeah, interesting. It'll be interesting. I mean, Trump really doesn't have any substance. He's just a hard debater because he just spews nonsense.
Well,
and I think
he hit him with a curveball last time because against Biden, I think that's part of the problem is they had Biden prepped for him to come out and be his usual self. And Trump came out like real calm and kind of coy and wasn't trying to be an asshole and was not really saying much. And he was letting Biden do the talking. And that worked out horribly for Biden. And I think they prepped Biden for a totally different Trump than what he got. But now you got to, I think that Kamala's whole plan is going to be to give him little jabs to get under his skin and make him come unhinged. And can Trump stay calm and presidential and not fight back? That's what this first debate is going to be all about. What they're actually saying about policy is the secondary story. Like, can Trump maintain his cool? He doesn't do well when people jab at him, but he doesn't do well, especially when it's a woman jabbing at him. Like, I don't know why. That seems to be, he doesn't like that. He doesn't like women talking to him like that. So that'll be the key to this whole thing.
Yeah. I think he's gonna. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
And we'll do a following day.
We gotta get a Republican. If you're watching the show and you're a Republican and you want to come on right after the debate and talk to us, and I just want to have an even panel. I want to have a left, right, and center. I'll try to play the center and talk about.
You just open up the floodgates to some crazy. I mean, I know we only have 30 viewers, but
please comment on this video if you'd like to come on after the debate and just talk about how the debate went. We have no clue. It might go really. If you're the Republican on the show, it might be a great night for you. You can come on and stick it in our faces. It'd be a great thing. But yeah, we need a Republican.
I want Shag.
He's definitely not going to do it. He said I don't know if you saw. He said he watched one episode, and apparently that disgusted him to the point where he will never come on our show. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
Can't blame him. I mean,
we are disgusting. We're disgusting human beings, Andy.
We try. So
we want good for the rest of the world, for the rest of the country and the world. And it's disgusting. We should be all about our own selves and nobody else.
I think we're globalists. I think that's my biggest problem is that I'm a globalist because I honestly, and I was talking to somebody about that. I'll make this real quick, but Trump always used to call everybody globalist, and Trump has this thing where he thinks that in order for America to win, somebody else has to lose. Like we need to
Right.
stick it to China or stick it to Russia. And Kamala said something. I wish I could remember exactly how she said it, but she said something in one of her speeches where she said, "None of us have to lose in order for all of us to be successful," or it was something very poetic
A
like that.
rising tide lifts all ships, bro.
That's a great way to say it. And that's part of the whole Clinton NAFTA, all that back in the day was like his thing was we have people coming here from Mexico at a rate that we can't stop. What if we make life in Mexico better? What if we make their economy better? What if we make it to where not as many people want to come to America? That was the
Yep.
point behind NAFTA, and that is what Obama tasked Biden with doing that during his administration was going to these Latin American countries and trying to figure out what we can do to stop them from wanting to come north. Then Biden, because that's what he knew, Biden did that with Kamala and said, it's your job to go down there and try to. Mayorkas was in charge of the border. They keep calling her the border czar, but that's one of those where it's like, that makes a lot of sense to me. Let's go down to Ecuador or all these, countries where Honduras, I can't think where they are, but let's try to figure out what's going on down there and plug the leak there. Let's see if we can help them out to where they don't want to move north. That's my thought.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they are our neighbors.
Yep.
We should
love
be
thy neighbor. Isn't that a
our neighbors.
commandment? Love thy neighbor. I feel like that's
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Instead, we're like, fuck you, Mexico.
Yeah, it's very Christian of us. We're a Christian
Yeah.
nation. Fuck you. So
Fuck you, Mexico.
yeah. No.
Broke ass bitch.
Exactly. All right. I think we've gone more than long enough tonight. So
Dude,
sir.
this is the longest one yet.
Yep. Have a good night. Nobody's going to make it to the end. We could just say whatever we want right now because everybody's tuning out before this point. But
I think if you make it to the end, chime in and I don't know. We need some swag, Andy. We need some swag to give away to people.
that goes against my whole I'm not spending money on this. Hey, we'll send an autographed picture of Doc's. We'll send an autographed picture of Doskasil's Christmas card if you chime in.
That's true. If you want to donate swag, if you want to donate money to our podcast so that we can create swag to give away to you whenever you win an award for.
I'm going to hold my breath and wait on those donations to start coming, buddy. Okay.
We need a sponsor. What was that whiskey you had?
Oh, a Redbreast. If you can get Redbreast to sponsor us, you do this for a living. Start writing companies and find a way to inflate our numbers, like without lying, and be like, oh, we're watched by at least 30 people. However you can do it, and get us some sponsors.
What was Rogan's first sponsor?
Fleshlight. I believe
Fleshlight. That's who we need. We need Fleshlight.
Okay.
I think Fleshlight. If you're listening,
I think he said that they just sent him like a box of Fleshlights, so then he gave like one away to every guest.
Perfect.
Okay, yep. Well, you should write them an email tomorrow. Send them a link to our show. Okay.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
all right.
I'll find out.
I'll talk to you later.
Later,
buddy.
dude.
Bye.